Hey guys, I want to talk about fasting once again, but I want to talk about dry fasting. And I want to talk about that because, not for spiritual reasons, or I wouldn't be making a video about it, I'm embarking on a dry fast. And a dry fast to, like people who don't understand water fasting as well, sounds like a bad idea, and I'm not advocating and saying it's absolutely the best idea in the world for everybody. Everyone should always check their own health conditions and do their own study and research. I always, when I'm talking about fasting, I get a lot of questions asking about it, and I never want to answer them because, quite simply, I always mention that you should read Dr. Shelton's book. You should read it because he fasted more people than anyone else on the planet, and he covers every question I've ever had about fasting. Spiritual side of fasting, I don't mind answering because obviously medical practitioners don't answer the spiritual questions. So I don't mind that. But the health questions regarding your body and what it can do for you, it's all there and it's free. Dr. H. Shelton, if you just Google Dr. H. Shelton, Soil and Health, Water Fasting, all his books are free on Google Books. So I'd read those. And I also read the work of Dr. Filnov, and he is a Russian guy. His work is quite badly translated, but you can make out what's going on in there. Just a difficult read because of the translation. And Dr. Filnov advocates dry fasting. Now, why am I starting a dry fast in the middle of all this busy chaos? Well, because of this busy chaos, this stupid person talking to you thought he could skip a little bit of sleep. And I have a sleep debt tracker on my phone. I'm supposed to get 7 hours a night, and within like 5 days I'd accumulated 18 or 17 or 18 hours of debt of sleep, because some nights I was only sleeping like 3 hours, just trying to get everything done and pushing myself a bit too far. Now, you can push yourself in that way. Sometimes you can get by on less sleep if you want to succeed and get something done in a short space of time. I've experienced this in my life, and it's absolutely the case. It is possible. Not necessarily healthy, but it is possible. But when I'm here and I'm looking after sick people and I'm looking after sick children, and people come to you who have been to the hospital, and it's full gas all the time, and sickness is a little more prevalent because I'm in a Tanzanian village, and there's a lot of sickness when rain comes because people's toilets don't have a sewage system, and so on and so forth, then you get sick more easily. It just happens that way. Now, I know this lesson. I know that I should sleep more, and it's proven in studies that if you get at least 7 hours a night, if you get less than 7 hours a night, you're 4 times more likely to be able to contract a common cold, a flu, or a virus, because your immune system's just not as strong as it should be. So I made a ridiculous error in deciding to skip that sleep to get work done, because now I can get less work done because I feel terrible on and off all day because I keep getting a headache and chills and fever, and I keep having to rest and sleep more than I would have done if I'd slept 7 hours anyway. So my body is finding balance. But why would I want to dry fast? Well, dry fasting on the health side of things, it's like bringing out the big guns. And if you don't understand what I mean by dry fasting means you're not allowed to take any food, you're not allowed to take any calorie sources, but you're also not allowed to take any water. Now, your body should be quite clean before you ever undertake a dry fast. If you are a standard American diet eater and you took on a dry fast, you would feel terrible immediately because the detoxification is rapid. It's very, very fast, even faster than when you're water fasting. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I have a lot of children who I need to get to on outreach, and they won't come in here until I go out there to get them, so I can't afford to be sick for long. Normally, I don't employ the use of dry fasting that often, for all I have in the past, because like I say, it's bringing out the big guns to tackle the sicknesses in your body. Now, the way it works with dry fasting, your cells become an incinerator, as it were. Now, medical science will tell you that you drop down dead after 3 days without water, but I can tell you they're wrong. There's two types of dry fasting. You can dry fast where you don't drink any water, you don't take food, and you don't touch water, so you're not allowed to bathe or anything like that. And the other one is a soft dry fast where you're allowed to touch water because your body will absorb that water as well. I did an absolute dry fast for 6.5 days where I didn't drink water, I didn't eat food, and I didn't touch water. And this was in 2012 I did that. And I never felt better than when I broke that fast. I felt amazing, but it's because I learned a new level of gratitude. I learned what thirst was. I understood how grateful I was for water and how wonderful water is. It's not just something we pour in. It's a living substance that breathes life into our very being. And I discovered all of this in an amplified level of gratitude because I was grateful just for the water. I wasn't bothered about the hunger. I was just grateful for the water at the end of it. But on the physical side of things, my body, my skin became more clear than it's ever been in its life. And the reason that happens is your body goes through a certain process. Now, what it does when you're water fasting, it looks for all the damaged and dirty cells and toxic cells that it doesn't need, and it burns them up in autolysis to provide fuel for your body. This is why it cleans you. That's why you detoxify. That's why you clean your body in a water fast. It seeks that which you don't need. Instead of seeking your heart muscle, because you need that, it looks for the worst things first. It has its own internal doctor, and it looks for those things. When you're consuming water, that's what it has, autolysis. When you're not consuming water, Dr. Filinov's work shows that what happens is the cells begin to dehydrate and they incinerate themselves to create water. And strangely, I was still urinating, for all it was a very dark colour, and compared to normally, I normally aim to urinate clear every day, as many times as possible, so I stay hydrated. When I was dry fasting, my urine was very dark and had a lot of colour to it, but I was even urinating on the 6th day. My body was still producing its own water on the 6th day. Now, you do lose weight rapidly and you detox rapidly, and if your body's not clean, it'll mess you up. I guarantee it'll mess you up because it's just too intense for a person. You get massive headaches and so on and so forth. But what happens is inflammation can only exist when it has moisture. And likewise, same as the autolysis seeks the toxins of your body, a form of autolysis goes on in dry fasting, but it seeks the cells that are least useful. And what it will do is any viral cells within your body, anything containing viral aspects, it'll starve it of water to give the water to your healthy cells. So very quickly your body tears through itself looking for ways to provide itself with water, and when it does, it burns up those cells that you don't need, or those cells that are infected with the viral load of whatever I've got, be it a virus or flu or whatever it is that's going on in my body. When I starve my body of water, as well as me getting thirsty, of course, the inflammation, the negative bacteria in your gut, the negative cells with viral attachment, all of these things are incinerated. And they are incinerated first, or they simply die because they can't have access to water, because your healthy cells, your body tells your healthy cells to retain and take that water away from the negative. Very much the same as when you water fast, you can digest a cancerous tumour. I've met people who have done this. Or you can unblock the plaque from your arteries because your body chooses to digest and autolyse that plaque as a fuel source, because it's going through like a surgeon looking for the things that are least useful inside it. Your body becomes your own doctor, your own surgeon. Now, this is what I'm doing because I need to get out in the community, and I can't go out like this, because if I go out like this, I'll allow the virus to elevate its strength over the top of me. I need to stay warm so as my body's not allowing it to replicate, and I also need to take away any fuel that can allow it to replicate. And that's what I'm doing today. And I feel stuffy in my head and I'm weak, but I feel quite good and I've got quite nice energy because I'm in a fasting state as well. If I was still eating, which is the biggest curse people have when they have a cold or a flu, they keep eating. Nothing worse you can do than keep eating. You will lay in bed with a banging headache and you'll feel terrible for a week, 2 weeks. And all you had to do was stop eating. Even if you don't stop drinking, just stop eating and drink water. You'll feel fine within around about 3 to 4 days. Every time, every person, this is what happens. The only problem then is many people have never fasted, so they actually go into detox after those 3 days. So they feel fine, but then they don't want to get up anyway because the toxins are purging into their bloodstream. But this is a process that we should go through from time to time. And if you just look to the animal world, which is where Filanov started his work, the animal kingdom, I'm lucky enough to see it with my dogs here. When dogs sometimes get sick here, because I have so many at the animal rescue, they automatically, even though some of them are very domesticated, many have not had full domestication, so they have a pack mentality. But they suffered out there because there's no food source for many of them, or they get killed by locals because they go hunting the livestock, and so this is why we brought them in. But you see that they are very in line with their natural rhythms and cycles, and some will just lay still and they'll reject food and they'll reject water. And then they'll do that for a few days and then they'll bounce back and they'll be fine. Of course, you can get to a point with a virus where it's too much and you need to put supportive fluids on a human or on a dog, and that's another story altogether. But in nature, many animals, broken bones, so on and so forth, they just stay still. Some might drink a little water, some just don't bother whatsoever. Some dry fast, some water fast. And they allow their body to be its surgeon, its doctor. And that's why I'm partaking in a dry fast, because I want to kill this virus inside me as fast as possible. And I feel a little bit shitty, if I'm being honest, as the toxins begin to incinerate in my body and start to produce its own water. But I know that within 48 hours, I'll be up and about. If I kept eating, make that a week. If I did water fasting, make it 4 to 5 days, possibly less. Depends on what you've got, of course. Depends if it's a cold or a flu or some other type of virus. So that's what I'm doing today at the moment. Through my own stupid fault by not looking after the wonderful gift that is my body from God and starving it of sleep to try and get more done than what I could get done, obviously, because my body has reacted by getting ill. I can do it in the West. It's took me all these years to accept that I can't do it here because I look after sick people. And when you look after sick people, your immune system needs to be intact. And if you're not sleeping enough, your immune system's not intact. So, and as you all know from my other videos, hopefully, if you fast for 3 days on water even, you reset your immune system. This is a proven fact. You give it a kickstart and restart itself. So this comes from the survival aspect of things. It's very similar to Wim Hof's breathing techniques, where you oxygenate your body so much, your body gives you rushes and rushes of these hormones because it thinks you're about to die. It's the same with fasting. Your body gets confused and rushes your system and releases everything to start healing itself rapidly in the hope you find energy to find food. It's the same reason when I'm fasting, my mind is so clear and so precise in comparison to when I'm eating food. Same as if I eat certain foods over other foods, I'm much more precise and clear. The reason being it's natural, my body's doing it because my body's telling me, okay, he's not eating, there's a problem. Let's make him as mentally clear and efficient as we can so he can find some food. And this is why sometimes on long water fast you get bursts of energy and you can do stuff even after 3 weeks without food because your body is finding its way to get you to get to that calorie source. Now, of course, we're making use of it in a different way. I'm making use of it in a different way because I know, due to the artificial, what's become normal, but the artificial means by which we live, which is not in nature anymore, that I've got some bananas sitting over the road and there's always plenty. I can make a phone call to get someone to bring me some mangoes or whatever I feel like I can get pretty quickly. So I don't need to worry about using that mental clarity to find food. I can use it for something else. So that's what I'll do whilst I'm not feeling bad. Like right now, I didn't feel too bad, not too much of a headache, not too many body aches. I thought I'd make this video, tell everyone I'm dry fasting and tell everybody why and tell everyone the benefits. There are great, great benefits from understanding that your body has its best healing tools residing within itself. But to access them, We've got to get out the way. And it's no different to our mental healing. Everything in human healing is about getting ourselves out of the way, getting the carnal mind out of the way, getting the flesh out of the way. You want to heal spiritually? Get your flesh out of the way, crucify it, make your five senses silent in meditation. You want to heal physically? Make your flesh silent, stop overindulging in the two most difficult things to discipline in the flesh, which is your sex drive and your want for food. Get those things out the way, your flesh will start healing. You want to heal mentally? Make your mind quiet, get it out the way, and you will begin to heal. You will begin to have the silent internal space to say no to addictions, which are ultimately mental pathways that are causing us trouble. Everything to do with human healing is all about getting quiet and getting normal functions of the flesh out of the way. Not to despise your flesh, not to turn it into some sort of enemy, but just to understand that it has its place in your survival, but also in your healing. It must learn to go to sleep for a little while in some which way, shape or form. And this is where self-discipline always leads to the road of healing, always leads to the road of enlightenment, and always leads to the road of being the person that you hope to be, rather than the person your flesh forces you to be. So I am fasting without food, without water. If it were for spiritual purposes, I wouldn't tell you and I wouldn't put this video online. But because I'm doing it to kill a virus in my body, I want to share that knowledge with you because I know that it works. So I thought I'd share that with everybody else because why not? Why don't people do this? It's so easy. And people lay in bed with a headache. Oh, 2 weeks of illness. I've had the flu for a week, 2 weeks. They just stopped eating. It would go away. Every time. Without fail. Problem is, big problem with that is, it goes against modern medical science because it's not profitable. And that's the presumption why I think modern medical science has gotten to the point where it doesn't use fasting as the first line defense or the first line cure for every ailment that appears inside the human body. Because it's much more profitable to treat the symptom than to cure the cause. God bless, guys. Bye. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, as it really helps us to grow the channel and with it help more children here in Tanzania. Also, don't forget you can support our work by sharing with children in crisis here, be it sharing for a particular need or even sharing one-on-one support for education, housing, food and medical care. It can be done for as little as the cost of a cup of coffee a week back in the West after all. Just visit www.sharetanzania.co.uk to find out more. Lastly, remember you can also support us via Patreon. www.patreon.com/featherstail and help keep us here in Tanzania to continue our work. The links for the website and for the Patreon are in the description box of this video. Love and light, guys. See you soon.